We deployed our elite against humans. Everyone was lost. The stars beyond the human systems were many, and they carried ancient secrets. Among these was the Zelari Dominion, a proud alien empire that believed only strength mattered in the universe. For centuries, they watched other civilizations rise and fall. They believed themselves superior, smarter, faster, stronger, and wiser than all other life. But when they set their eyes on Earth, they did not see what was truly there. The leaders of the Zelari Council had studied humans from afar for decades. They noticed human patterns of war and peace, of growth and struggle. To the Zelari, humans were primitive, a simple species that fought among themselves, lacking unity and discipline. To the Dominion, Earth was a small world of little value, and its people were no challenge at all. So the Council made a choice that would soon change everything. They decided to send their greatest warriors, the elite forces of the Dominion, to Earth. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were engineered for perfection, enhanced with advanced technology, trained in unimaginable tactics, and equipped with weapons far beyond human invention. They would land on Earth, crush all resistance, and bring the planet under Zelari control within days. The mission seemed certain. It was never questioned. First contact on a clear morning, when sunlight glowed on Earth's oceans and forests, the sky tore open with silent light. Massive ships descended without warning, their shapes unlike any human craft. They shimmered with metal that seemed alive, pulsing with energy. At first, people on the ground thought it might be a heavenly vision, but they were wrong. Massive shadows spread across cities and fields alike. In moments, Zelari elite warriors poured out of the ships. They moved in perfect formation, tall and powerful, their armor sleek and silent. They carried weapons that glowed with energy. To the humans watching, it looked like a force no army could resist. Human soldiers stood in fields and on rooftops. They raised their rifles and aimed. But their weapons, the best they had, barely made a dent in the armor of the Zelari elite. Bullets bounced off like rain on a window. The humans were shocked. The Zelari ignored the humans' shouts and resistance. They marched forward, their steps confident and precise. General Amir Rahim watched from his command post in New Kiva City. He had been told this day might come. Earth had defenders watching the skies for years, but nothing could have prepared him for the sight of thousands of elite Zelari soldiers moving like a dark storm across the land. "Report," he ordered. His voice was steady, but his heart weighed heavy. "Sir," a young officer replied, "their shields withstand all fire. Our artillery is useless." Amir closed his eyes for a moment. He had trained for war, but not for this. Yet he also knew humans were not weak. Humans adapted. They survived, and they fought with heart. He picked up his radio. "All units fall back to defensive lines. Keep civilians safe, and do not give up." The first clash, the two forces met at a wide plain near the city's edge. Dust rose as humans and Zelari faced each other. The air felt thick. Even the wind seemed to stop, waiting. The humans commanded tanks, drones, and heavy weapons. They fired with strength and courage. But the Zelari shield simply absorbed the blasts. It was as if the humans were throwing sparks at a mountain. "Steady," Lieutenant Arya Singh said to her unit. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with determination. She saw fear in her soldiers, but also hope. She believed humans could still find a way. They always did. An enormous beam of blue energy shot from a Zelari weapon. It cut through the ground and sent soil and rock flying. The humans ducked and took cover. Some cried out. Others stood firm. Arya heard a young soldier beside her tremble. She touched his shoulder and whispered, "Look at me. Focus. We are still here. We are not done." She ordered her team to use every trick they knew. Mines were placed, traps set, and drones sent in unpredictable patterns. The humans fought not with strength at first, but with brains, and that is what made the Zelari blink. The elite had trained for predictable defense and organized offense, But humans were chaotic, wild, unreasonable. They did not follow patterns. They slipped into shadows, struck where least expected, and vanished like smoke in the wind. Time and again, human fighters avoided direct fire and surprised the Zelari elite. It did not matter that the humans were weaker. They were unpredictable. The human edge in another part of the battlefield. A group of engineers worked under an old factory roof. They were not soldiers, they were thinkers. People like Talia Marsh, a brilliant engineer who always saw the world like a puzzle. When the attack began, Talia had been teaching students about energy fields. Now she ran toward the chaos, carrying tools and ideas. She saw the Zelari weapons hum with energy, and her mind raced. "We can't fight them with guns," she said to her team, "but we can make them fight themselves." She pointed to the glowing weapons the Zelari carried. "Those beams use a focused energy pulse. If we can change their field frequency, even a little, it might disrupt their aim." Her team looked at her like she had lost her senses, but there was no time to argue. They worked fast, scavenging parts from abandoned vehicles and drones. They built a strange device, not a weapon but a disruptor. They hoped it would create interference in the Zelari energy field. When they activated it, a strange wave pulsed across the plain. The Zelari shields flickered for an instant, and their weapons misfired. For the first time, humans pushed forward. It was not victory, but it was hope. Across the battlefield, shouts rose. Humans saw their enemies hesitate, and in that hesitation, they saw possibility. Zelari Confusion Commander Vron of the Zelari elite had never known defeat. He was bred for battle and trained to conquer. When his shields flickered against the disruptor wave, he narrowed his eyes, something no Zelari rarely did. Doubt was forbidden. "Identify the source," he demanded. His voice was low and cold, but there was an edge of concern. His lieutenants scanned, but their devices were confused. The interference was wild, changing signals faster than their systems could read. Commander Vron roared an order: "Eliminate all resistance. We will not fail." Yet every time they advanced, humans slipped away or fought back with unpredictable moves. The battlefield was not a straight line. It was a maze of surprises. For the Zelari, this was new. Their perfect strategies failed in ways they could not calculate. Their elite soldiers were trained for predictability, perfect formations, and control. But humans thrived in disorder. They adapted. They changed. They improvised. And that was something the Zelari had never faced: human resilience. Amid the chaos, Amir Rahim stood on a small hill overlooking the plain. He watched humans coordinate in tiny groups. Some were wounded, some were afraid, but none were quitting. He turned to his second-in-command, Captain Lina Zhao. "We are losing ground," she said with a weary voice. "But look at them. They keep trying again and again." Amir nodded. He remembered history, the times humans rose after defeat, how they learned from every challenge, and how they refused to give up. He had faith in humanity's stubborn strength. "We will fall back," he said, "but we will build a new defense line closer to the city. We will save as many lives as possible, and we will learn from them." Lina looked at him. "Sir, do you think we can win?" Amir looked up at the sky where Zelari ships still hovered. "We may not win today," he answered, "but we will not lose our spirit. That is what makes humans powerful." Night falling as darkness fell, the battlefield quieted. Fires burned in the distance. The sounds of war faded into echoes. Both sides rested, but not equally. Humans gathered in small groups. They treated the wounded with what supplies they had. They shared food and comfort. Some whispered prayers. Others simply breathed, relieved to be alive. Many were scared. But no one gave in to fear. Talia and her team packed their disruptor device for the night. Soldiers approached them, offering water and simple thanks. "You gave them trouble," one soldier said with a tired smile. "We only gave them a little confusion," Talia replied, "but confusion may be enough to save lives." Across the field, the Zelari elite formed tight squads. They stood in perfect rows even in the dark, scanning for threats. Their shields glowed faintly, and their eyes glowed with cold focus. There was something unfamiliar in their ranks: frustration. They were trained to win, but now they faced something no training prepared them for: human unpredictability. Commander Vron stepped forward, his armor humming softly. He looked over the dark fields with sharp eyes. "We will take Earth," he stated, not as a question but as a conviction drilled into his being. "We will adapt, and we will destroy what stands against us." This is not over. And for the Zelari elite, that belief did not waver. A new dawn when the sun rose again, Earth was still standing. The Zelari elite prepared to push forward once more. They had suffered losses, and they would suffer more. But they believed strength could still win. Yet every calculation they made now included one unknown variable: human will. On the human side, new strategies were being written. Amir and his leaders studied the battle from every angle. Civilians volunteered: farmers, engineers, teachers, all ready to fight in their own ways. Human leaders looked at one another with weary eyes, but also with fierce determination. "We may not have their technology," Captain Lena said, "but we have something they cannot measure. We have heart." Talia stood beside her, looking at the strange disruptor device they invented. "We will find more ways," she said softly, "more ways to turn the strange into strength." And as the sun climbed higher, human forces tightened their ranks. They prepared for the next clash, not with fear, but with resolve. The Zelari elite believed they would win easily. But for the first time, they began to question whether victory was certain, because humans were more than chaos. Humans were adaptable, unpredictable, relentless. And in the vast fields of Earth, a new war had truly begun. The morning sky over Earth was pale and quiet, a sharp contrast to the chaos of the day before. Smoke still drifted from ruined fields and burning cities, but the humans were already moving. They were tired, wounded, and scared, yet their spirits burned brighter than ever. Commander Amir Rahim walked along the defensive lines outside New Kiva City. He observed soldiers cleaning weapons, engineers repairing vehicles, and civilians carrying supplies to barricades. The humans were like a living organism, every part working together to survive and fight back. "Today," Amir said to Captain Lena Zhao, "we will show them we are not just survivors. We are fighters, and we will make them pay for every life they tried to take yesterday." Lena nodded. Her eyes scanned the horizon where Zelari ships glimmered in the distance. "They are stronger than us," she admitted, "but they are not smarter, not yet, and that may be enough." The Zelari elite advanced high above. Commander Vron watched the humans from his ship. He had expected fear, confusion, and surrender. Instead, he saw resilience. The humans had regrouped quickly, stronger than before. "They adapt too fast," Vron growled. "Every strike we plan, they counter in ways our calculations did not predict. How is it possible?" His lieutenants, humanoid but sharper, more precise, spoke without emotion. "Commander, their unpredictability is a threat. Our elite units cannot anticipate every move. They are chaotic." Vron's eyes glowed with determination. "Then we adapt as well. Today we will use our full strength. No mercy, no hesitation, prepare all forces. The humans will fall by the end of this day." Below them, Zelari elite soldiers gathered in precise formations. Every movement was perfect, every step calculated. Their armor gleamed in the morning light, reflecting cold, unyielding power. They believed victory was certain, until the humans struck first. Human ingenuity, Talia Marsh and her team worked tirelessly through the night. They studied the Zelari weapons they had captured from the previous skirmish. Every energy pulse, every shield frequency, every weak point became a potential advantage. "This is more than a battle," Talia told her team. "It's a puzzle, and humans are very good at puzzles." Her assistant, a young engineer named Rico, adjusted a small device that pulsed with energy. If this works, it will make their weapons misfire again. And this time we can control where. Talia nodded. We need every distraction, every delay we can get. It's not enough to survive, we need to turn the tide. Outside, civilians moved quietly, building barriers, digging trenches, and preparing supplies. Farmers became scouts, teachers became medics, and students became messengers. Every human had a role, and every role mattered. Amir walked among them, watching determination in every face. He smiled slightly. They may not have the Zelari's strength, he thought, but they have something stronger, willpower and creativity. The first strike by midday, the Zelari elite marched forward once again. Their movements were precise, confident, and deadly. Energy weapons glimmered, and shields hummed with power. They stepped over ruined fields and destroyed towns without hesitation. Human defenders waited in silence. They had prepared traps, hidden weapons, and improvised barriers. When the Zelari reached the first open plain, they found it filled with false targets, decoys made of scrap metal and old vehicles. Zelari energy beams cut through these decoys, wasting precious ammunition and time. Meanwhile, hidden humans attacked from all sides. Mines exploded, creating chaos. Smoke grenades blinded the elite, and energy pulses from Talia's devices disrupted their targeting systems. For the first time, the Zelari felt frustration. Every advance was met with clever human resistance. Each perfectly trained unit stumbled against unpredictable strategies. Commander Vron observed from above. His eyes narrowed. "They are more resourceful than expected," he said. "This is not a simple fight. We will need to recalibrate our tactics." A human surprise in a ruined factory on the edge of the battlefield, Talia and her team launched a new device. It sent a pulse that interfered with the Zelari's sensors, creating illusions of humans where none existed. From the sky, the elite soldiers saw enemies everywhere, behind trees, in rubble, and along riverbanks. They fired at shadows and empty spaces, wasting energy and exposing themselves to real attacks. Arya Singh led a team through these illusions. They moved silently, striking key Zelari units and retreating before a counterattack could begin. Every successful strike brought hope to humans across the battlefield. Even small groups of civilians contributed. Children who had been evacuated returned to deliver messages and supplies. Farmers guided soldiers through hidden paths. Every effort, no matter how small, strengthened the human resistance. The turning tide by evening, the Zelari elite had suffered losses they had not expected. Several units had been forced to retreat, and their weapons misfired repeatedly. The humans, though weaker, had proven themselves adaptable and relentless. Commander Vron's face darkened. "This is unacceptable," he said. "The humans are too unpredictable. Their tactics are not logical." One lieutenant replied, "Logic does not always win, Commander. Sometimes chaos prevails." Vron growled, realizing that he had underestimated humans. They were not just simple creatures of flesh and instinct. They were thinkers, planners, and improvisers. Every failed attack taught them something, and every human victory, no matter small, boosted morale. On the ground, human soldiers pressed the advantage. They used tunnels, traps, and Talia's devices to confuse the elite. Their attacks were not about overwhelming power, they were about intelligence and timing. The Zelari had strength, humans had strategy, and that made all the difference. Civilian heroism, not all heroes wore armor. In one village near the battlefield, a teacher named Marin guided a group of children to safety. She had no weapon stronger than courage, and a staff she had fashioned from metal scraps. When a Zelari scout entered the village, Marin led the children through hidden passages, outsmarting the enemy at every turn. She used knowledge of the terrain to confuse the scout, eventually trapping him in a small pit while the children escaped. Even ordinary humans showed bravery that no weapon could match. They defended homes, shared supplies, and risked their lives to save others. Every act of courage inspired soldiers and civilians alike. Amir watched news reports and field messages come in. His chest swelled with pride. "This is why we fight," he said. "Not for conquest, not for glory, but for life, for family, for our planet." Nightfall and reflection. As night fell, the battlefield quieted. Fires burned in the distance, but human lines held strong. They had not driven the Zelari away, but they had survived, and that was victory enough for now. In the command tent, Amir met with his key officers. Maps and holograms covered the table. Each mark represented Zelari movements, human positions, and potential traps. "We cannot just defend," Amir said. "We must strike back. We must show them that Earth will not be taken easily." Lena spoke up. "They rely on strength and calculation. We rely on creativity and willpower. We need to use that advantage." Talia added, "We can disrupt their weapons more. We can create illusions, misdirect them, and force them to waste energy. And while they are confused, we strike." Amir nodded. "Tomorrow, we take the fight to them, not just to survive, but to make them regret underestimating humanity." Zelari doubt. Meanwhile, aboard their flagship, Commander Vron faced his own officers. They had never failed so consistently. Elite soldiers trained for perfection had been bested by humans again and again. "They fight like animals," one lieutenant said, "but with intelligence beyond what we expected." Vron's eyes glowed faintly. "Then we adapt. We must learn from them. Study every action, every tactic, and predict their next move. Humans are clever, but they are still fragile. We will find their weakness." But deep inside, a question lingered, one he would not speak aloud. Could it be that humans were stronger than they had thought? Stronger than the elite soldiers themselves? For the first time, doubt touched the Zelari mind. A new dawn approaches. The night passed, and the humans prepared for another day. Civilians trained alongside soldiers. Engineers refined their devices. Scouts reported Zelari positions with precision. Every human was a part of a growing network of resistance, combining brains, courage, and creativity. They were not just defending their homes. They were learning, adapting, and preparing to fight smarter. And the Zelari elite, though powerful, had begun to realize that strength alone would not win this war. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and relentless. They could turn weakness into strength, confusion into strategy, and fear into courage. As the sun rose over the battlefield once more, the humans tightened their lines and readied for the next clash. They would survive. They would fight. And they would show the universe that humans were more than they appeared. The war was far from over, but one truth had become clear. Underestimating humans was a mistake no one could afford to make. The sun rose over Earth with a golden glow that touched the scars of battle from the past days. Cities were damaged, forests were burnt, and fields were shattered, yet humanity remained unbroken. Every survivor knew that today would decide the future. Commander Amir Rahim walked along the main defensive line outside New Kiva City. His eyes scanned the horizon where the Zelari elite forces gathered, preparing for their final push. Their armor glimmered with precision, and their weapons hummed with lethal energy. They were confident. They believed victory was certain. But humans had learned too much in the last 2 days. They were no longer just defending. Today, they would fight with strategy, with creativity, and with the full force of their will. The plan. Inside a reinforced command tent, Amir met with Captain Lena Zhao, Talia Marsh, and other key officers. Maps, holograms, and data screens filled the room. The humans had studied every Zelari move, every weapon pattern, and every strength and weakness. "We cannot match them in sheer power," Amir said, "but we can outthink them. We can force them into traps, disrupt their weapons, and turn their strength against them." Talia pointed to a large device in the corner. "This disruptor field can scramble their energy weapons over a wide area. Combined with illusions, minds, and guerrilla tactics, we can create chaos even in the middle of their ranks." Lena added, we also have the terrain on our side. We know the land, forests, rivers, and hidden tunnels. Every place they expect us to be, we can move differently. They can't predict humans. Amir nodded. Then we fight smart. Every soldier, every engineer, every civilian who can help, we use them. Humanity's strength isn't in power alone. It's in unity, courage, and creativity. The final battle begins from the sky. Zelari ships descended like a silver storm. Elite soldiers marched forward, confident in their perfection. Commander Vron's eyes burned with focus. "They are clever," he admitted to his lieutenants, "but we will crush them. Today ends this rebellion." On the ground, humans moved quietly but swiftly. Hidden mines were armed, barricades strengthened, and Talia's disruptor was activated. The field pulsed with energy, unseen but deadly, ready to interfere with the Zelari weapons. When the elite soldiers entered the first valley, they were met with confusion. Their sensors flickered, and weapons misfired as the disruptor scrambled their energy systems. Illusions of humans appeared everywhere, behind trees, in ruins, and on high cliffs. Every step forward felt like stepping into a trap. Arya Singh led a squad through the chaos. Her soldiers moved like shadows, striking Zelari units at close range and retreating before counterattacks could begin. Each successful attack inspired humans across the battlefield, giving them confidence and hope. Zelari elite confused. Commander Vron frowned as his soldiers hesitated. They were trained for precision, perfection, and logic, yet humans were unpredictable. They adapted to every tactic, learned from every strike, and never stopped moving. "Focus," he shouted. "Do not be distracted by illusions." They are weak. Yet weakness alone did not explain the humans' effectiveness. Every misstep the Zelari made was punished with strategy and courage. The humans were turning the battlefield into a maze of traps, ambushes, and clever attacks. Vron realized they had underestimated a crucial factor: human spirit. Humans fought not because they were perfect, but because they refused to give up, even in the face of overwhelming force. Human innovation. In a ruined city block near the battlefield, Talia and her team activated a series of devices simultaneously. The disruptor waves pulsed in rhythm, making Zelari weapons fire randomly. Energy shields flickered, and elite soldiers stumbled as their targeting systems failed. Meanwhile, civilians guided soldiers through tunnels and hidden passages, allowing humans to strike Zelari forces from unexpected directions. Farmers, engineers, teachers, and students became part of the battle in ways no Zelari soldier could predict. One group, led by a teacher named Marin, set small traps along the Zelari advance. Rocks were rigged to trigger debris collapses. Hidden nets immobilized soldiers. Every human, no matter how small or unarmed, became a force multiplier. Amir observed the chaos with satisfaction. Humans were using everything they had: brains, courage, and teamwork. They were turning every weakness into strength. The Zelari began to falter. Even the elite soldiers, with their superior strength and technology, began to falter. Their formations broke under relentless surprise attacks. Their weapons misfired repeatedly. Confusion and frustration spread among them. Commander Vron could not ignore what was happening. "They are more than expected," he admitted quietly. "Their creativity, their courage, it is unlike any enemy we have faced." For the first time, the Zelari elite realized that power alone would not guarantee victory. They could calculate strategy, but humans could not be fully calculated. Every human act was unique, every move unpredictable, and every strike fueled by willpower. The human counterattack. As the day progressed, Amir ordered the counterattack. Human forces advanced in carefully coordinated movements, using knowledge of the terrain, traps, and disruptor fields. Mines exploded behind Zelari ranks, creating panic. Illusions misled soldiers into ambushes. Human squads struck fast and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Arya Singh's team led a flanking maneuver through a forested valley. Using hidden tunnels, they appeared behind the elite soldiers, striking critical targets. Commander Vraan's orders to retreat were too late. Humans had cut off escape routes, forcing the elite into chaotic pockets. Talia's disruptor pulses continued to scramble Zelari energy weapons. Blasts intended for humans often misfired, striking their own ranks or missing entirely. The once perfect elite soldiers now stumbled, disoriented, and vulnerable. Every human strike was small individually, but combined, they formed a relentless wave. The Zelari elite were being defeated not by brute force, but by human ingenuity, strategy, and unity. Heroism across the battlefield in one ruined district. Marin and her team rescued civilians trapped under rubble while simultaneously guiding soldiers into Zelari flanks. They used clever decoys, barricades, and makeshift weapons to outsmart the elite. Elsewhere, a group of students led by young scouts disrupted communications, sending false signals that misdirected Zelari units into traps. Every human played a role, and every action mattered. Amir moved among his forces, inspiring soldiers, civilians, and engineers alike. "We are stronger together," he shouted. "We are not just defending, we are showing the universe what humans can do." The battlefield was no longer about technology alone. It was about heart, determination, and the refusal to surrender. Humans were proving that courage and creativity could overcome even the most advanced enemies. The final confrontation by late afternoon, the Zelari elite were cornered in a valley. Their numbers were reduced, their formations broken, and their confidence shaken. Commander Vraan realized the final moment had arrived. "We will finish this," he said. "We cannot afford mistakes." But humans had anticipated this. Mines, disruptors, and hidden squads were ready. As the Zelari advanced, every step triggered chaos. Energy weapons misfired, elite soldiers were trapped, and illusions multiplied their confusion. Amir led a final charge with Captain Lena and Arya Singh at his side. Soldiers and civilians joined, striking with precision and courage. Talia's disruptor pulses surged, making Zelari weapons almost useless. The elite soldiers, despite all their training and power, could not withstand the combination of human strategy, willpower, and unity. One by one, they fell or surrendered, unable to recover from the relentless ingenuity of humanity. Victory of humanity by evening, the battlefield was silent except for human cheers and the crackling of fires. The Zelari elite had been defeated. Every elite soldier was either captured or forced to retreat. Commander Vraan, defeated but alive, could not deny the truth. Humans had won, not through superior technology, but through courage, intelligence, and unbreakable spirit. They had survived what no one thought possible, turned weakness into strength, and proven that underestimating them was the gravest mistake of any empire. Amir Rahim stood among the survivors, looking at the exhausted but victorious faces of soldiers and civilians alike. "Today," he said, "we have shown that humans are more than they seem. We are fighters, thinkers, and survivors. We are one planet, one people united, and nothing can take that away." Talia Marsh smiled as she deactivated the disruptor. "We fought smart," she said. "We used what we had and it was enough. Humanity wins when we never give up." Captain Lena Zhao added, "And we will always be ready. Today is victory, but tomorrow we keep learning, keep improving, and keep protecting our home." A new era. As night fell, humans gathered around fires, sharing stories of bravery and clever tactics. The planet was scarred, but hope burned brighter than ever. They had survived the mightiest warriors the galaxy had sent against them. The Zelari Dominion, though distant, would never forget Earth. Humans had proven themselves clever, courageous, and unstoppable in ways no one had anticipated. Every attempt to conquer humanity had failed because humans adapted, learned, and fought with a heart that no machine or weapon could replicate. Amir gazed at the stars. Beyond them, countless challenges awaited. But humanity had proven that it could face the impossible and survive. They had shown the universe that humans were not weak, not predictable, and not conquerable. The war was over for now. But the legend of human courage, ingenuity, and resilience would echo across the stars forever. Earth stood victorious. Humanity had triumphed, and the galaxy would remember.